This is Lesson 2.8, but it is the dimensional analysis part of Lesson 2.8. And we're going to use the worksheet that I found to kind of show you how dimensional analysis problems are set up. It's always changing from a certain set of units to another set of units. Sometimes it's even a rate change from one rate to another. You will use this definitely in chemistry in high school a lot. And that's basically where I remember learning this when I was in high school. So we'll start with number one. Number one, we need to change 5,400 inches to miles. And on the top of this worksheet that is going to be in your folder, there's some conversions that you need. Of course, there's a lot more than that, in the world that you might have to know. But those, I think, will get us through what we're doing here today. There is a note over here to the side that might help a little bit. It's what you want over what you've got. I've never really seen it like that before, but maybe it'll help you. I don't know. So here's how you start these. Wherever it says you are beginning, that's what you write. 5,400, and I'm going to put IN for inches. Now, I'm just going to leave it like that, but technically it's really over 1. And for dimensional analysis, you are taking it and switching it to units, and you're constantly multiplying by ratios until you get what you want. Now, I have inches. So when I look at that note to the top and it says what you've got, well, that means inches are going to go on the bottom. And I can easily convert inches into feet. I just got to put the numbers that match the conversion. So how many inches are in a foot? 12 inches on the bottom and 1 foot on the top. Now, I haven't got to miles yet, so I got to go one more ratio. And right now, because what happens here as we do this, check this out, the units are what cancel out. I would cancel out inches, and what unit is left that I haven't canceled out in blue there? Feet. So right now, with just that part, I could change 5,400 inches to feet. But I don't want that. I want miles. So my next conversion is going to put feet on the bottom, and feet can be easily converted to miles. You write in the numbers that match the conversion. 1 mile goes to 5,280 feet. Now when I mark out the units that cancel out, the only unit that is left would be miles. So that means that I have what I want. I just got to do the numbers now. So I'm not going to do any more ratios, and I know my answer is going to be in miles. Now, here's the thing. As you're doing these problems, you're going to use a calculator. Any number on top of a ratio, you would multiply it. Any number on the bottom of a ratio, you would divide it. So in my calculator for this problem, I would punch in 5,400 divided by 12 divided by 5,280. So again, any number that would be on top, and sometimes you will have numbers on top depending on the conversions. So whatever's on top, you multiply that. What is ever on the bottom, you divide that. So I take 5,400 divided by 12 divided by 5,280, and I come up with this 0.08522, and is there some more maybe or not? Yeah, there's a bunch more. We are not going to round to the nearest tenth on this. I think we're going to go maybe 3 decimal places. Okay? So let's say it would be 0.085. So we're rounding to the nearest thousands. We don't want to put them all, we don't want to put all the decimal places, but 3 would be good because we don't know how some of these might come out. So again, you take what you have and you go one step at a time. Inches, definitely the next unit up would go to feet. Feet, if you had to go to yards, you could go to yards, but we know the conversion from feet to miles, and miles is what I want, so that's why I went straight to miles. You're canceling out the units, and then you're using the numbers. Okay, questions about that? If you were looking ahead to number 2, which you're going to do that one, let's just think a minute. You would start at weeks. You would take your week down to what? Your week, in your first conversion, week would go to, not hours, days. Then you would go days to hours, and hours to minutes, and then minutes to seconds. So that's going to be a long one. So weeks to days, okay, days to hours, hours to minutes, minutes to seconds. So that's how you do. You look at where you're starting and where you want to end up, and you go one step at a time, and you use the ratios that you know to get there. You want the units to cancel out. Okay, so that is just going from one type of unit to another type of unit. You do that. Okay, now we're going to go to something where we're going from a rate to another rate. And I mentioned this yesterday. So I'm going to skip down to number 4. I want to make this a little bit bigger. 36 centimeters per second. 36 centimeters per second. You know what? Let me go back up here for a second. Everybody write this down for me. We need 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Okay, write that down. 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Just write it down so we have it. Now, we're going to switch from 36 centimeters per second, and we're going to switch that to miles per hour. So this one's going to take a lot of ratios to get there. All right, so we're going to start out here with this. 36 centimeters on top to seconds on the bottom. That's what it says. Okay, I'm going to deal with the centimeter part first. And I need to go all the way from centimeters to what? Who knows? Miles. Okay, so we got to start off slow. So I'm going to do this ratio first. I have centimeters on top. So where am I going to put centimeters in the next ratio? So it cancels out. So centimeters, and I know the ratio between centimeters and what? Inches. And it says, what I had you guys write down was 1 inch to what? 2.54 centimeters. Okay, now keep in mind, my centimeters are now gone, right? Okay, let's go on to the next part. I want to switch from inches, so inches on the bottom. What's the next thing I know? Feet would go on top. What numbers am I going to use? 12 inches to 1 foot. What units am I going to mark out? Inches. I'm not there yet. I'm just at feet, so I need to go one more. What am I going to put on the bottom? Feet, and I'm going to convert feet to miles. Okay, so what numbers am I going to use? How many miles? 5,280 feet, yeah, 5,280 feet to 1 mile. So when I cross those out, hey, look, I got miles on top. That's what I want in my answer, so I'm done worrying about the miles. Now I have to go and talk about the seconds, okay? So we're going to keep going here. So I got miles on top. So far, so good. I've got seconds on the bottom. and I want seconds to go away. Where will I put them? Very good. And I can convert seconds to what? Minutes. Tell me the conversion. How many to what? 1 minute to 60 seconds. Okay, so I'm canceling out seconds and seconds. So right now, if I stopped, I would have the number of miles per minute. That's not what I want. I want miles per hour, so I got to keep going. So what am I going to put on top? What do I want to go away? Minutes, and I'm going to put what on the bottom? Hours. And what's my conversion there?
60 minutes to 1 hour.
60 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, so when I cancel out my units here, what units are left? What hours? So on top I've got miles, and the bottom I've got hours. And that's what I wanted to go to, right? Miles per hour. So I'm done writing ratios. I've done what I needed to do. Now this is where my calculator comes in. Remember, anything on the bottom you divide, anything on the top you multiply. So I would put 36 divided by 2.54 divided by 12 divided by 5,280 times 60 times 60. Anything on the bottom you divide, anything on the top you multiply, and you can just do it in one long line. And it came out as 0.805. What else was there? 29. Okay, so let's say 0.805, so 3 decimal places, and then mph, miles per hour. Yes?
What would you do if there was like a 60 on the top and like a 5 on the bottom?
Then that's a good question. If there was a 60 on the top and the 5 on the bottom, which probably on these there won't be because you're always doing one thing to something else, but if that did happen, you would then multiply by 60 and divide by 5. Just do one step at a time. Any number on top, you multiply with it. Any number on the bottom, you divide it. And you can do it one long line. Okay? So, this is dimensional analysis. It's dimensional. You cancel things out as you go to leave the units that you want. You can do rates. You can do just from one type of unit to the next. Are there any other questions? Yes?
How would you do number 2?
Well, does everybody have the red written? Okay, I think we talked about number 2. Weeks to seconds. I said you go from weeks to what? Weeks goes to days. Days go to hours. Hours go to minutes. And minutes go to? There you go. So that's what you're going to do.